Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cinema Heroes. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jay Stu.
And today we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Or Caribbean, however you'd like to say it. Released in 2007, directed by Gore Verbinski, written by Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, and starring Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, Stellan Skarsgård, Bill Nye, with Chow Yun-Fat, and Jeffrey Rush. And Naomi Harris. So, Stu, I listened to the Dead Man's Chest episode with you and Alex, and you both very much enjoyed that film. Do you remember how you felt after seeing this the first time? What was your initial impression?
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was one of the greatest movies I'd ever seen. For a long time, this was my favorite of the three.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Of the original three. And then it went to Dead Man's Chest. And now it's back to At World's End. This movie is awesome.
That's funny. When I saw Dead Man's Chest in the theater, I didn't get to talk about this because I wasn't on the Dead Man's Chest episode. Mm-hmm. I hated it. I walked out of the theater being like, that was it. And so when At World's End came out, I didn't even bother to see it in the theater. So I didn't see it until it came out on DVD, I think. And I watched it. And watching it for this episode, I think is only the second time I've ever seen this movie. Mm-hmm. So it clearly didn't make me like want to, I don't remember my initial thoughts, but I think I just thought it was okay because I never watched it again. So, yeah, I don't know. I remembered virtually nothing from this movie. I think the only sequences I remembered were Jack Sparrow in Davey Jones Locker with, I didn't remember all the, all the Jack Sparrows, mm-hmm. but I just remembered him being in like a desert and his boat being in the desert, kind of, mm-hmm. and him trying to pull it, and then I remembered the scene with Beckett where Beckett's ship is getting blown up and he's walking down the steps while it's getting blown up. That sequence was visually striking and stayed with me, but everything else, I didn't remember any of it, basically.
I remembered everything from this movie. Everything that I love about the Pirates universe is in this movie.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's talk about what are some of the things that you love about the Pirates universe that are in this film.
I love we're introduced to more pirates from all over the world. We got a really great moment of art imitating life, imitating art with Keith Richards playing Captain Teague, aka Jack Sparrow's father, which is awesome. We got Chow Yun-Fat, who's one of my favorite characters in the movie. He's not in the movie a whole lot, but I do like when he's there. We got the return of Barbossa. We got Calypso. It's just and the third act is so beautiful. It's such a well shot, well written, epic scene. You got a naval pirate ship battle going on in the middle of a maelstrom. Not to mention that there's a wedding happening at the same time. There's a lot going on in this third act, and it is so good. It's so good.
That's awesome. You and I have very different opinions on a couple of things.
I already expected that.
Yeah. Number one, I don't like the Keith Richards cameo. It takes me out of the movie. I know why they did it. I know, when after the first movie, Johnny Depp said that he based his performance on Keith Richards and everybody thought it was great. So they threw him into this movie and made him Jack Sparrow's dad. I don't like it. I think it's gimmicky and like I said, it pulls me out of the movie because it's Keith Richards, and so to me, I don't really care for it. He's not in the movie much, so it's not like it's a deal breaker or anything. Mm-hmm. But for me, this movie is overly long. It feels convoluted. And I don't know. I didn't connect with it this time either watching it.
I
did rewatch Dead Man's. It's okay. It's interesting because usually you and I agree on everything, but not these movies. Dead Man's Chest. I rewatched Dead Man's Chest, and I kind of feel the same way about that movie that I did 15 years ago or however many years ago it's been now. It just feels like it's a lot of nothing. It doesn't have a resolution to me, which is my big issue with it. Back in the day, it just felt like 2.5 hours of setup for this movie. And I don't know if I quite feel like it's 2.5 hours of setup, but it just feels like it builds, and then just nothing, and then it just ends because this movie finishes
into this movie. Yeah,
right. So it feels incomplete to me. I think that's my big issue with it. Now, the things I do really love about this movie. The acting, Johnny Depp, Jeffrey Rush, Chow Yun-fat, Naomi Harris.
Everybody gives them
Even the guy that plays Beckett is really good because you hate him. And Bill Nye as Davey Jones. I will say, Bill Nye as Davey Jones is the highlight of both films, I think. He's so good. And I actually forgot kind of the nuances of his performance, where how he just
his
the way
facial
he speaks
expressions, like his eye twitches, his eye twitches, and he does his thing with his head when he's talking to you. It's like a twitch. I don't know how to explain it.
Right?
But.
Yeah, and I can't imitate it, but I do love also like the way he pronounces his words, where he really like pronounces like the last consonant of each word.
Yeah, he over enunciates.
Right. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
So Bill Nye is amazing. Jeffrey Rush is amazing as Barbossa. I am glad that they brought him back. And I liked that. That was actually a great, the way Dead Man's Chest does end with you seeing Barbossa at the end there is a great way to end that film.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was born to play Captain Jack Sparrow. So he's just always fun to watch. So yeah, it's the acting is great. But like I said, it feels like there's a lot going on in this movie. So
there is a lot going on. I'll give you that. There's a lot going on, but it didn't feel convoluted to me. I enjoyed every minute of it. I was glued.
And you've probably seen the movie a lot more times than I have. Obviously, I've only seen the movie twice now.
I haven't seen it. I mean, I would say this might be maybe my fifth time watching it, fifth. But it's not, it's not like The Matrix where I've seen that probably 200 times. But
right, yeah, it's not a terrible movie. I just again had a hard time connecting with it, and I feel like for me personally, there's a lot that I feel like I would just cut out. Like, and it's not even big stuff. It's mostly humor stuff. Humor, like just jokes that I don't feel are necessarily. That was a kind of weird way to say it. Necessarily. But so yeah, I do like the Land of the Dead stuff. I like that Jack Sparrow. I guess that's what happens when you get eaten by the Kraken. You get sent to Davey Jones Locker, because that's what we saw at the end of Dead Man's Chest, was him being swallowed by the Kraken.
Mm-hmm.
I like him being in Davey Jones Locker. I like the way that they get out of the Land of the Dead with having to capsize the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Up is down, that whole thing. I thought that was really cool.
I loved that scene because I remember watching it for the first time. I'm like, what is going on? And then I caught on right before they like actually said it. I was like, oh, they're rocking the boat. Okay.
Yeah, because he doesn't say anything. He acts like he's like, what's that? And then runs from one side, and then he's like, what's that? And runs from the other side, and because he knows they're all gonna follow him.
Yeah, when they did it the third time, I was like, oh, they're turning the boat upside down. I was like, this is awesome.
They do portray Jack in this movie as being smarter than he appears to be. Like, he puts on this outwardly, like, I'm a fool and I don't know what I'm doing, but really he's got a lot of stuff figured out, and he knows how to kind of manipulate things.
He's very
and situations
strategic
and
in this movie, and
yes,
I very much like it. I think it's I think Jack's character development kind of comes full circle in this movie. But he obviously ends the movie still being, Jack Sparrow. But like for example, they always say that, Jack runs away, and he did that in this movie, but he did it for a very specific reason. He wasn't running away because he was afraid. It was just all part of his strategy, and he played it very close to the chest. He wasn't telling anybody what he was doing because he wanted to fool people. He was very, right, very smart in this movie, and I love it. And I don't think that it would have worked in the first or second movies, because I think he had to go through all of that in order to get to that point. Right, especially right. The second movie with Davey Jones Locker and trading Will for, I think mm-hmm. I think it was I definitely think that they knew exactly what they were doing when it came to Jack's character.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Oh, the opening of this movie. I love the opening of this movie. Where they're at the gallows.
Everybody getting hanged?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the kids start singing that song. Oh my goodness. The opening to this movie is so dark, but it's so good.
Yeah, and it also just shows how kind of evil Beckett is, because he's just killing everyone who has any like possible association with a pirate, mm-hmm. including women and children.
Yes.
Doesn't care. Yes. He will kill all of them.
He is hanging people for speculation alone.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and in a movie where you've got Davy Jones and you've got Chow Yun-fat as Sao Fang, and you've got Naomi Harris as Tia Dalma, who, is eventually Calypso.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that like Beckett is like the most hated villain, or at least in my opinion, I was like, that's pretty good. I mean, it's like good acting and good, like, and good acting, especially from Tom Hollander, because he just plays like the slimy kind of evil person very well.
Yeah.
And then they just wrote it well with him, killing off these people in the beginning of the movie. Just makes you hate him even more, even though, no, he is present, because when they start singing, he's like, it's about time or something like that. Because I think the song does something. It like summons people or something, right? Doesn't it say? I don't know, maybe not, but
I didn't.
But like it seemed like in the beginning he says something that makes it seem like that was what he was wanting. He was wanting them to start singing this song for whatever reason. Maybe not.
I thought that he just wanted them to like admit that they were pirates or associated with pirates.
Gotcha.
I didn't think that it was like it's some kind of enchanted song or anything.
I gotcha. The only reason I said that is because in this IMDb synopsis, I have no idea who wrote this,
mm-hmm.
It says condemned prisoners defiantly sing a song to summon the 9 pirate lords comprising the Brethren Court to convene at Shipwreck Cove.
Oh.
So
that makes sense.
I don't know.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree that his character was written very well. And I like the fact that he is the most evil person in the movie, because even Calypso, I don't really see as evil. I see her more as a force of nature, which obviously they like, what's the word that I'm looking at? It was like really on the nose with the third act when she turned it to those crabs, and then the maelstrom came. So that was like really, really on the nose of her being a force of nature, which I loved. I loved that.
So what happens to her exactly? She turns into the crab. She creates the whirlpool, and then we don't really see anything else from her after that.
She's a goddess. She is the spirit of the sea.
Right. I just thought it was.
They released her from her physical form. She doesn't have a physical form anymore.
Oh, okay. So so the pirates like trapped her into a physical form, or whatever you want to call it,
mm-hmm.
or didn't curse her. I guess trapped her is the best way to say it. So if she didn't have a physical form before, how was she Davy Jones's lover?
I'm guessing that she had a physical form. She was able to go in and out of her
turn into a physical form.
Yeah, at her own will. When the pirates I guess placed that curse on her, they trapped her in a physical form, and that limited her power severely. So she became I don't know, whatever, like a witch or whatever.
Right. Yeah, she became Tia Dalma, basically.
Yeah, she became Tia Dalma, but Tia
Dalma, she still had
Tia Dalma has
Tia
powers.
Dalma was able to, she's able to bring Barbossa back.
Yeah,
and do other things, but not. She didn't have Calypso's powers. Right?
Yeah, she couldn't cause a maelstrom.
Right.
And I'm guessing the reason that they trapped her was because she was causing all this destruction and stuff. She, the sea was doing what the sea does. So
yeah, it just seemed weird to me, I guess, because when she becomes the crabs and creates the maelstrom, it's in response to what Will tells her, which is that Davy Jones was the one that told the brethren how to trap her.
Right.
Which upsets her because her and Davy Jones were
in love,
an item or whatever. And so she gets all mad, but the maelstrom wouldn't have done anything to Davy Jones. I mean, I guess she's upset with all the pirates because they trapped her, but you'd think she'd be more upset the most with Davy Jones, because the Flying Dutchman does go down the whirlpool at the end of the movie with Will being the new captain. But he's fine. He and the crew come out of the water later to help the Black Pearl destroy Beckett's ship. So it wouldn't have done anything to Davy Jones. So I guess it just felt
I don't think that's the point. I don't think she was trying to punish Davy Jones anymore. So
I guess I just don't understand what the point of releasing Calypso was.
Let me get my thoughts straight. The point of releasing Calypso was to Beckett destroy all of his, what do you call it? An armada. Yeah, the armada. Yeah, to
oh, so they thought that Calypso would be on their side and help fight Beckett's army?
Yes. Barbossa said, I'm going to release Calypso. She's going to be, we entrapped her, but she's going to be on our side. She's going to release her wrath on Beckett and his armada.
Okay. So Will should have just kept his mouth shut because he tells her that it was Davy Jones. And she does create a maelstrom, which I guess could have taken down Beckett's ships. I don't know. That part, I guess I just am confused by the motivations there.
It happened prematurely because Beckett's ships weren't even there yet.
Right.
Yeah, it happened prematurely.
If Will hadn't said that, then maybe she would have been willing to fight. I mean, maybe she wouldn't have because she was still trapped by the pirate lords, but
I'm guessing that she wouldn't have been on their side anyway because she's Calypso.
Right.
From that perspective, it doesn't, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like the third act was going to play out like that no matter what in my head.
Okay. I was going to say everybody is making deals with everybody in this movie and everybody is not honoring those deals. And I feel like that Tia Dalma was the same way because there's a scene that I actually really liked where Davy Jones visits her. She's like in the brig and they have, she says something to him. I don't remember exactly, but it's like they're kind of reunited and talk about like their love for each other. But I don't feel like either of them are really being honest with each other because I think they both have their own plans. You know what I mean?
Davy Jones is definitely, he's right. I can't say it, but yeah, he definitely is pretty much giving her the middle finger. He's like, I love you, but you suck.
In that scene, Davy Jones walks through the bars. And then later on in the movie, we see him walk through I don't know what it is exactly. It's like this circular something that he's chasing Jack around. He like walks through it, and then Jack like kind of catches him in it and spins him around. But did we see him doing that in the last film? Was it like established that he could walk through things? I know Davy Jones is a little bit magical because there's actually a great moment in Dead Man's Chest where Jack is looking at him through the spyglass, and he sees Davy Jones turn and look at him, and he's like, "Ugh," and then when he moves the spyglass, he's right there.
Yeah.
So that I'm willing, I guess, to say that it was, Davy Jones has like powers to an extent.
He does. But
that one, I just was kind of almost thrown off by it. His arm is like stuck in the jail cell, and so then he just walks straight through the bars, and I was like, what? It almost kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
But like I said, Davy Jones is obvious. It was established that he's at least got like kind of magical powers to an extent. So
yeah.
I can let that slide. I just was curious if we had seen that before or not.
Don't think so.
Because it also happens pretty late into this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely past the halfway point. So yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty much, maybe not right before, but it's. I think she's in the brig because they are going to try to do the ritual to free her shortly after that. They kind of bind her and bring her to the top deck or whatever so that they can release her. So I feel like it's pretty shortly after that.
Yeah.
Just trying to remember these scenes and stuff.
You're funny, man. You really don't like this movie. It's hard for you to talk about it. Oh, man.
I like moments of the movie. But overall, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, I guess.
It kind of makes me sad, but not really, because
yeah.
I love it.
You still love it? Yeah, that's, I understand when you love a movie, you want to like share that love with folks. Yeah. It's always a bummer when I like something that John didn't or whatever. It was always kind of a bummer, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just need to give this one another chance, but I don't know. I mean, it's a long movie, so I don't see myself rewatching again anytime soon.
You probably won't give it another chance.
I will tell you one thing I really absolutely love about this movie and Dead Man's Chest is Hans Zimmer's score. The music in these movies is outstanding.
I think the score in this movie is the best out of those original three, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Actually, ever since I watched Dead Man's Chest last week, I've been humming,
me too.
Da-da-dun, 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 da-da-dun. Like just walking around the house doing that.
Yep.
It's good stuff. It's really, really good.
Yep. I will say this about the movie. The one thing that I don't like, well, I won't say I don't like it, but Davy Jones is not as menacing as he was in the previous movie because he pretty much working for Beckett.
Yeah. He's basically become Beckett's lackey, so he's not he's not in charge anymore. Right?
Yeah, I don't particularly like that.
Right.
His personality is still the same, and Bill Nye is amazing.
Still a great performance and everything. Yeah.
But if I had to pick between the two, it would be Dead Man's Chest Davy Jones over At World's End Davy Jones.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Because I feel the same way. He's still a lot of fun to watch, but he doesn't feel as threatening or menacing, like you said, as he does in the first film, or in the second film, I guess, in the previous film, because he is being controlled by Beckett, because Beckett has his heart, he has to pretty much do whatever Beckett asks. He's no longer as much of a threat. He's still a threat because Beckett is using him to destroy pirates, and he's going after everybody and everything. But I do love the third act is very good. I will admit that as well. And the fight scene, the sword fight between Jack and Davy Jones up on the top sails or whatever.
Oh yeah,
is really, really good. And seeing Jack swinging on the rope and all that stuff is pretty fantastic. But yeah, he's not in charge anymore. He's not the one calling the shots. And so, there's actually a great scene. Again, it just makes you hate Beckett. not that you like really love Davey Jones, but Davey Jones walks in at one point and says to Beckett, like, I cannot be summoned like a dog or something. And Beckett goes, apparently you can. He's like, you're here.
The thing I do like about Davey Jones in both movies is you feel for him. They really turned up the empathy with Davey Jones because he is heartbroken, especially in this movie. And I think that's why he seems so... Because he's not, he's angry, but I think he's more annoyed by the fact that he has lost control rather than anger, because he's not, releasing his wrath because he can't. So I think he's more annoyed than angry, which I prefer to see him angry. I want to see Davey Jones let loose.
Right. Yeah. How do you feel about Bootstrap and that whole, because Will's dad is, what's the word I'm looking for, like condemned basically to work on the Flying Dutchman. But then Bootstrap ends up killing Norrington. I felt a little bad for Norrington, even though Norrington's not the greatest character, the person either. But Norrington does at least kind of redeem himself a little bit by letting Elizabeth escape. But then that's why Bootstrap kills him. And so then I feel like you're kind of like, Bootstrap, I thought you were kind of a good dude. What are you doing? And then, so it's just, I was curious how you felt about his whole character. I don't know if it's an arc, but, his character storyline.
It was a bit much. But
yeah,
it didn't bother me because I was having such a good time with everything else, but it was a bit much because there's already a lot going on in this movie. I did like the scene where they find Bootstrap in the bottom of the Dutchman, and he's like in the wall. Like I thought that was was awesome. I love the end of the movie where the Will is now the captain of the Dutchman, which I thought was phenomenal. I love that. Will is now the captain of the Dutchman, and the curse, like the crew is still the crew, but like all the crustacean and like they turn back
barnacles and everything.
The barnacles. They turn back human and everything falls off. And I thought that was so poetic, and I loved that part of the scene with Bootstrap, because now he is a pirate, because these pirates, they love being pirates. Not like what I'm saying? Like he's a pirate. He's on the ship. He's got pretty much everlasting life, and he's with his son. It was a nice, happy, poetic ending for Bootstrap. Even though Will had to kind of pay the price for it, it was still a very nice, poetic ending for Bootstrap.
Yeah, I agree. I like this scene with Will and Bootstrap at the end where Bootstrap asks him, what are the captain's orders? And Will kind of looks at him and he's like, you're free. You don't have to be here. And he's basically like, I want to be here with my son. So I thought that was kind of cool. I like that too.
Yeah.
Here's a question. So there's a post-credit scene. I'm assuming you saw it. Do you remember seeing it?
I do, but I don't remember what it was.
Okay, no problem. I'll tell you. So after the credits, it says 10 years later, and we see Elizabeth kind of running towards the coast with a 10-year-old boy. Mm-hmm. And then we see the sunset. We see the flash of green against Elizabeth's face. Mm-hmm. And then the Flying Dutchman is sailing towards them, and we see Will, and then it cuts to black after that.
Yeah.
So I take that to assume that to mean that it's similar to, I guess, the curse on Davey Jones, where he was only able to go on land once every 10 years.
That's exactly what it is.
Right. Okay. So the captain of the Flying Dutchman is only able to go on land once every 10 years, but I guess in exchange, he is immortal?
Yes.
Okay.
He has to be.
Has to be immortal?
Yeah. So he can ferry the dead.
Dead. Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the whole point of the Flying Dutchman, is to ferry the dead to the afterlife.
So that is his new job, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
the reason why the crew of the Dutchman look the way they do is because they weren't doing that.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Because Davy Jones was supposed to meet his love on land one day, and she didn't meet him, and he got upset and abandoned his duty.
Yeah, he was like, "F this job."
Transformed into a monster. Yeah. Right. Okay. Cool.
He's like, "You didn't show up. I'm not doing no work."
Right. I'm not going to work tomorrow.
All right. You think you're gonna get some free work out of me? At least you could have done was show up.
That's funny. So how do you feel about the scenes with Jack where he's got like the devil and the angel essentially on his shoulder?
I thought they were funny.
You know,
I
really,
I did. I loved all of those scenes. I loved Jack, like the I guess Barnacle Jack. He came out of the wall.
The one that comes out of the wall.
Yeah,
like
he was licking his brain like that. It was disgusting, but it was funny. I loved it. He looked cool. He looked really cool.
He did look cool. I don't know. I mean, again, it's just the scene stuff that I just feel is kind of unnecessary. But it was, I don't know. I don't love the first time it happened. It was like, okay, and then when it happened again in the jail cell, I was kind of like, okay, and then you see the third one come out of the wall, and I was just like, okay, Jack's just insane, I guess, is what we're kind of learning here.
Well, what I'm thinking is that he came out of the locker, like the locker transforms you like mentally,
right?
So I think it has lasting effects on your mental state because you're in another plane of existence, and he was there for a long time. When they came to rescue him, it was only like a day. He had been there for I don't know how long, because I guess time is not a thing when you're in the locker.
I can understand that. Yeah.
So he probably thought he was there for some years probably. Yeah, but they like literally made the trip like overnight.
Right.
Yeah.
Although they have to travel to China to meet with Cao Feng, so I feel like from him being eaten by the Kraken to them traveling to Davey Jones Locker probably had been
like a week,
a little bit of time. Yeah, maybe a week or so. Yeah.
Oh no, if they had to travel to China from England,
from the Caribbean,
yeah,
might have taken a while.
Yeah, it might have taken a while. So maybe, I don't know, a month.
But then
that's enough time to go crazy.
Yeah. It's very true. Cao Feng gets killed and appoints Elizabeth as the captain of his ship.
Yeah.
And I did like how he was mistaken and thought that Elizabeth Swann was Calypso.
I thought about
the
that.
Wrong person.
He died thinking that she was Calypso.
yeah. Which is why I think he appointed her captain.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have done it if it had just been Elizabeth.
Hell no.
Right. So that kind of worked out. I also really liked how the pirate lords, like they were like, we're not gonna ever have a king again because we all vote for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then I liked how Jack surprises everybody. He's like, I vote for Elizabeth. And everybody's like, what?
He knew what he was doing. I love how smart he is in this movie.
He's got a great line too, where it's during some kind of battle scene, and somebody goes, "You're mad," and he goes, "Well, that's good, because otherwise, I don't know if I don't know if this would work otherwise," or something like that. Do you know what a piece of 8 should be? Because in the scene where they're all passing around, like they're passing around the hat and they're putting their pieces of 8 in there, one of the characters is like, "Yeah, they're 9 pieces of 8." One of the characters is like, "These aren't pieces of 8; they're just junk." And they're like, well, we couldn't call it the 9 pieces of whatever we happen to have in our pockets at the time. So I was like, what is a piece of 8 supposed to be?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. But I like that, though. I like that scene.
Yeah.
I like that explanation. Visually, there are moments in the movie that are really, really good. Like I said before, the scene that kind of stayed with me from the first time watching it was when Beckett's ship is just getting destroyed by the Black Pearl and the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah.
And he's walking down the steps, and it's kind of slow motion with Hans Zimmer's amazing score, and pieces are just getting blown apart by him. And he doesn't even get a scratch. Kind of insane, but visually amazing.
Yeah, visually stunning. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Gore Verbinski did a fantastic job with that scene.
Yeah.
And it's very satisfying. Seeing Beckett get his ship just completely. Also, seeing him freeze up was really nice too. Yeah. Where like they're like, "What are your orders?" And he's just like, "It's just business." He's like, "Yeah. What do you know?" That was very satisfying. And then seeing him get blown up at the end was amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really, that scene was very good. Okay, another question I have for you. At the very end of the movie, Jack Sparrow's got two ladies on his arm and he's walking. He's bringing him to his ship, and then he realizes that his ship is gone. Barbossa has taken his ship. Gibbs was passed out drunk, and so then he turns to the ladies and insults them, so that they'll slap him, and then he slaps Gibbs. And I didn't understand what the point of that was. It just didn't get it. And then it seems like, I guess, Gibbs and Jack part ways with the intention of, I guess, meeting up down the line. But I just was very confused by that scene. I didn't understand it.
Yeah, neither did I.
It was weird. But I liked the end of the movie with him in the little dinghy boat putting up the pirate flag. And I love that he pulls out the compass, which, shows you what you want the most. And it points towards him, and he's like, and he pulls out a bottle of rum, and then the compass like reorients, and he's like, all right, cool. I thought that was great.
Yeah. And, Barbossa, he's on the Pearl, and he has a map, or he thinks he has a map to...
thinks he's got a map, yeah.
To the Fountain of Youth. And Jack has the important part of the map
right.
with him. So that was classic Jack Sparrow moment.
Classic Jack Sparrow moment. And they were obviously, it seemed like they were kind of, it wasn't as much of a setup as the way Dead Man's Chest was, but it obviously seemed like they were hoping to make more. It was kind of setting it up. And I was going to ask, I've only seen On Stranger Tides once as well. Is the plot of that movie about the Fountain of Youth?
Yes.
It is. Okay, cool. All right, cool. I'll be watching that one shortly.
Me
because too. We will be finishing the Pirates franchise here. And then we'll be moving on to finish another franchise. So I guess it's that time, Stu. We'll go into a rating. And so I would love to know what you would give Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End.
I'm just going to cut straight to the chase. I love it. 4.5 barnacles out of 5.
Cool. I'm going lower than you. Maybe it's me. Maybe I just need to give it another go.
It's you. You suck.
But okay. All right. Fair enough. I accept that. But for me, I'm going to give it 3 bottles of rum out of 5. That's where I'm going to go with it.
I have accepted. I've long accepted that I'm in the minority. I don't know about Dead Man's Chest. I think people like that one, but I know a lot of people don't really care for At World's End, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
I like all of the first 3 Matrix movies, so there you go.
Right.
And nobody
I looked
likes
at the Rotten Tomato score, and Curse of the Black Pearl is the highest. I think it's like in the 80s, and they progressively go down. So I do think critics, anyway, tend to like Dead Man's Chest over this movie, and then they like the subsequent sequels even less. So we've got our work cut out for us over the next couple of movies.
Well, I've seen On Stranger Tides. I've seen it twice, and I remember liking it.
I actually remember liking it too. I have not seen it since I watched it when it first came out on Blu-ray, but I remember actually thinking that was pretty good. So I'm curious to watch it again. And I have not seen Dead Men Tell No Tales or Dead Men Tell No Tales.
I saw it once. And that's
not
all,
looking
that's
forward
all,
to rewatching.
That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to, I don't want to get all the way into it. I didn't care for it, but there were some things that I liked, but I'm not going to point out the specific things just yet. So
right. Yeah, we'll get into it. So yeah, I'm curious to see how I feel about On Stranger Tides, if I like it better than these two films or not. So we'll see. We'd love to know what you think about Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Do you agree with Stu, or do you happen to agree more with me? I'd love to know. So let us know at cinemaheroes.com. You can leave us a comment on our Instagram or tweet at us. Both handles are at cinemaheroes. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below what you think of the movie. Give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I think that about wraps it up, though, for this episode. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jake Stu.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing.